And I've been working with Tom Smith on this project for over 8 years. And you can see I wanted to tell you that even though it's hot outside, it's a little cooler in here, and we're in a cool building, but I got to tell you, when we sat here November 17th in 2015, the mayor was here, Bill Dietrich, a number of the council people were here, and a number of you. You were in a building and you probably wondered, what the hell? And at that time, Tom Smith, who I'll call the mastermind developer to pull this off, said, come back in a year plus and we'll have something to show you. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Have we done something here? You all should have a program, but just briefly with this program, but I want you to know, if you haven't figured out yet, there's plenty of bars on the second mezzanine level. And of course, we have a thing called the Truman room, living room up here. And then there's the wine tasting area back here in the alley. And if you keep going down the mezzanine, many of you will see the City Gym, which is a new addition to downtown. Haley has been in Brookside. She's now opening up here. And it's the old bus terminal, so if you haven't seen it, you need to see that. And then finally, we have the saltwater pool that just opened today. And if you keep going down to the north wing, where the balloons are, you'll see a model unit of restoration. This is 260 units. And right now, I'm happy to tell you that we are 67% leased up. So pretty remarkable. They'll do that later. But I have to tell you, I've been working in Kansas City when my hair was not gray for over 36 years in downtown Kansas City and in Midtown. And this has got to be projects of historic and redevelopment that I've been associated with, now called the East 9 at the Pickwick Plaza. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a legacy building. There's been no attention to detail that's been spared. This, for many of us, we can call this, for us that are historical folks in restoration, this is a historical renaissance. The treasure of Kansas City. It's a paradise for millennials. And by the way, we have a mixture of people my age and millennials in this building. And it's a key part of bringing part of the fabric of downtown Kansas City. So a legacy building, and it all took partners. That's the key word today, partners. This project could not have been done without collaboration of partners. And the first speaker I want to introduce is a gentleman by the name of Reeves Wiedeman, who is with Helix, who are the architects. But if you go on their website, Reeves, they have a simple philosophy: make life beautiful. Well, I think you did it here, Reeves. I think that your team did it. But I want to also say, with Reeves, Heron Laughlin Construction, and I know Wells Heron is somewhere here. Wells, with your team, there they are in the back. They're construction guys, but they did a remarkable job on this project as well for historic restoration. Over the last 7 years, the Smiths, Gold Crown Properties, Heron Laughlin Construction, Reeves, we had more meetings than we can count, Reeves, at your office. We brought in everybody, prospective bankers from all over the country. We brought in city officials. We brought in a number of different redevelopment people, and everybody said, well, it's a challenging project, it's a great project, but the bankers said, we think it's too big of a project to do. We need to see some more skin in the game. Well, skin's in the game, ladies and gentlemen, the project's done. And Reeves Wiedeman and his team at Helix really did a great job of helping work this hand in hand with Tom Smith and his team. Reeves, please.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. This is an exciting moment for an architect. It's almost as exciting as getting started on a project, but that was 10 years ago. I think I got a call, maybe 9, but it was a long time. I got a call from somebody who said, come look at a building. And, you know, Helix has renovated over 100 buildings in the Kansas City area, most of them downtown. But there really isn't many buildings like this one, and I'll give you 5 reasons why. Number one, its basic size. It's a 3/4 of a city block. I mean, it's a huge building. It's designed by one of Kansas City's finest architects, White and White. For those of you who are familiar with the Nelson Gallery, for example, that's a White and White building. City Hall is a White and White building. So a very unique opportunity to work on a real special piece of architecture. I can't think, another third reason of 5 why this one is special is I can't think of a building this size and this recognized by its esteemed architect, original architect, but that one that's so unknown. How many people knew about this building 5 years ago? Not very many. You have to be a true downtowner. You have to know, maybe lived in Kansas City a long time, but it is one of these sleeper projects. A 4th component to this building, which is exciting, and it still is today, is that it's a mixed-use project, meaning it's a hotel. It was a retail outlet for retail stores. It had office space. And get this, it had transportation. Transportation is one of the big 5 topics of conversation, maybe the big 3 or 2 right now in Kansas City. So this project was a cutting-edge project 90 years ago. And probably last but not least is this was without a doubt one of our most challenging projects. And if it wasn't for, and I'm going to call them out, Christine Sutherland was our lead architect, and Cale Sadowski. We've got our engineers here from Wallace Engineering. I'm going to miss people. I'm not going to bore you with telling all these great people, but a lot of people worked very, very hard to get this done. But the 2 people that I will remember the most throughout this project was Tom and Brian Smith. I remember standing in this building, and we walked through it, and he says, well, what do you think? And I just said, I'm trying to get my arms around it, Tom. But there was something about these guys that's different. And for those of you that know them, they are different. You know, of course, I was thinking, okay, he's coming from Overland Park, you know, to downtown. So what does he know about downtown? You know, I kind of was intrigued, like, you know, that he was maybe, you know, you heard the saying, ignorance is bliss. I think he might have been just thinking this was something that was going to be a lot easier than it was. But the best part about it is that over time, the way we got to know each other, and we had a lot of time to do that, is you could tell that they were passionate about this building. This building wasn't about making a living, even though I hope and you deserve to make a lot of money on this, but it was about doing something great for Kansas City, making an impact. And that's what I know our firm's about. I know that's what Heron Laughlin's about. I know that's what you're about, Tom and Brian. And I think we're all here because this is a great gift to Kansas City. And so I just want to be the first to thank you for the opportunity to work on this project, and thank you for this gift to our town.
Thanks, Reeves. Thank you, Reeves. In the beginning stages of the Pickwick redevelopment, the Downtown Council, led by Bill Dietrich, and his ableist Vice President, Sean O'Byrne, Sean's over there, who's a one-man wrecking crew when it comes to cleaning up downtown. Thank you, Sean. They stepped up to the plate here on the Pickwick. Other partners stepped up to the plate as well. Tom and I met with the Economic Development Corporation of Kansas City, led by Bob Langenkamp, and many of the staff of EDC are here today. But we also, this project has through the Land Clearance Redevelopment Authority, a 10-year tax abatement. And we had to go before the LCRA a couple of years ago. And I want to acknowledge that at that time, Michael Duffy, who was the past chair, I think Michael is here somewhere, there he is out there, and the staff of Joe Egan, who's since retired. Michael has retired. Mayor, you're going to have to replace these guys. It's a tough challenge you have. Greg Flistrom is here, who's now on the current, and Bob Long, of course, and many others. This week, I see you, Mike. I want to just acknowledge we lost a great person in Kansas City, and Jimmy White. Jimmy was the vice chair. I've known Jimmy for many, many years. Goes way back to the days of the council. but what a visionary and a housing partner. But Jimmy always got it, and he got this project as well as Mike. So thank you. We had some challenges. We are happy to know that we met our MBEWB requirements. I'm assured of that. So that's something that's important. But as I said, from day one, helped champion development of Pickwick. And so please welcome Bill Dietrich to say some comments.
I was here for the groundbreaking, and it's overwhelming. It's just really, I don't know what to say. This is so amazing. This project is just incredible. What a transformation. First and foremost, congratulations to the entire Gold Crown Properties development team that made their vision into this stunning reality. This project is an important milestone in downtown's renaissance. Can we have a round of applause for the entire Gold Properties team? I'm a natural-born historian, and I highly value your commitment to the preservation and to the quality of the work invested in the East 9 Pickwick Plaza to ensure our rich past remains part of who we are today. It's incredible. One of the greatest pleasures for me has been discovering through developments like this the rich history and complex history of this significant American city. A key downtown council revitalization strategy has been the repurposing of historic buildings. It has been a privilege to be involved in a number of historic preservation projects. The Central Library, located in the historic First National Bank building at 10th and Baltimore, and the Todd Bollinger Center for Dance and Creativity, located in the abandoned power plant adjacent to Union Station, come to mind. These were significant historic buildings restored and adaptively reused as civic cultural assets. Incredible projects, joined by the success story that is Pickwick Plaza. Thank you again to Tom Smith and everyone at Gold Crown Properties and their extended development team for their vision and commitment to excellence. The projects I mentioned, and many more, have something in common: the use of historic tax credits. But here, in this amazing tribute to historic preservation, I must sound the alarm that the historic tax credits, which have made this project and many others possible, are under the most significant legislative challenge since their inception. This year, Governor Greitens commissioned a committee to review all tax credit programs. The committee held 4 town hall meetings on historic tax credits featuring subject matter experts. They were held in Marysville, Springfield, Hannibal, and Cape Girardeau. None were held in Kansas City, none were held in St. Louis, where the majority of historic preservation success stories reside. The report was published June 30th. Their findings were preordained. The report states that historic tax credits, quote, have not delivered on their economic development promises, and that they must be converted to a rehabilitation tax credit program with an annual cap of $50 million, down from $140 million, and that the new program be capped at $2 million per project. The report will be taken up by the legislative branches in the next session. To read the full report, we have a downloadable PDF available on our website, downtownkc.org/resources. Please join us in protecting this incredibly valuable resource. It is incumbent upon us to deliver and develop an effective legislative strategy to save these critical development tools, and it will require everyone's effort to be successful. It is not the only program under threat as well. Low-income housing tax credits, which are often used to make sure that we have diverse price points and a wide range of available housing in our downtown, are also at risk. It would be abandoned and turned into a loan program. Brownfields as well, says Bob. Read the study, give us a call. We're really going to put a group together and start working this problem because we must protect this incredible resource. Downtown Kansas City is America's creative crossroads, a place where art intersects with innovation. In fact, according to the Tech Cities 1.0 report published by Cushman & Wakefield, we ranked amongst the top emerging tech cities in America. Strategies like the Mayor's Smart City Initiative continue to accelerate the pace of change and enhance our competitive ability to recruit and retain the next generation of urban residents. Over 25,000 people now call downtown home. We are all participating in a transformational moment in our downtown, our city, and our nation's history. For communities to successfully navigate the future will require nothing short of reimagining our society, workplace, political discourse, and the nature of our relationships to each other. In a recent study conducted by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce entitled Innovation That Matters, Kansas City is included in the top 25 cities poised to capitalize on the shift to the digital economy. One of the most important lessons and reasons that Kansas City is rated in the top 25 best cities is its repopulation of our urban center by tomorrow's leaders, those choosing an urban walkable lifestyle. In fact, we have the 6th fastest growing downtown in the nation. By investing in creative, innovative, culturally rich living experiences, which the Pickwick Plaza clearly represents, we invest in our future. Congratulations to Tom and the entire team at Gold Crown Properties for demonstrating that great causes can be accomplished through vision, leadership, and determination. I can't wait to see what you do next. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Bill's point, by the way, last week, unfortunately, City Manager Troy Schulte could not be here today. He's doing a good thing. He's doing Boy Scouts out of the state. But Mayor, when he walked through here with his staff, what Bill was saying was this needs to be the Pickwick, the poster child for why historic preservation needs to stay in the state of Missouri. We have been at the vanguard, ladies and gentlemen, like Bill said. And we have more projects, by the way, across, not just in Kansas City, but across this entire state. There are other states, I can tell you, I spent a lot of time in Florida, that envy the Missouri tax credit historic program that we have. It is the envy of many places, and Jeffrey, who's been one of our lenders, you know that from other properties and projects. So I want to just reiterate that. With that, I want to also, before we bring up the mayor, we had a lot of team partners in this, and I want to acknowledge today in this building 2 people. I know Councilwoman Catherine Shields and Councilwoman Jolie Justice. I know Catherine was here. She's still here? She went through different places, but I want to shout out to them because they helped play through public assistance the improvements that you see along the street corners, particularly on the parking angles and some of the infrastructure from the old streets and so forth. All that was done with public improvement assistance money in partnership with the city. So we want to shout out to them. Also, I know Mayor Pro Tem, 1st District at Large, Scott Wagner's here. Scott, somewhere. Are you here? There he is, back there. Scott was one of the supporters of this project from the very beginning and has been through it many times. Also, I see the chairman of the Planning and Zoning in 6th District at Large, Councilman Scott Taylor's here. And Scott, thank you for your support of this project. I believe Councilwoman, I saw her earlier, Councilwoman Teresa Lohr is here somewhere in the building walking through. And I believe Councilman Dan Fowler was due to be here. So we want to thank them. And as I mentioned with Troy Schulte, we want to thank the city manager who always stepped up to the plate in advocating for the Pickwick. I've worked through my years with various mayors of Kansas City, Charles Wheeler, Dick Berkeley, Emmanuel Cleaver, and Kay Barnes. All have been great champions for Kansas City. We're fortunate today that we have a strong leader and champion of Kansas City in Sylvester Sly James, our mayor. He continues to lead this city on many fronts: education of our youth, entrepreneurial opportunities in Kansas City, downtown real estate development and growth, and many other initiatives. Before I bring up Mayor, I want you to see this wall back here. It's the history of the Pickwick. And back by those mailboxes, there was another great Kansas Citian. His name was President Harry Truman. When he was then a Jackson County Jackson County judge. He wasn't in jail, but who knows? But in 1934, he wrote about his dreams, hopes, and aspirations, where in 1934 he wrote the Pickwick Papers here. And that was his next launch to run for United States Senate from the state of Missouri, which he won ultimately and became president. So the Pickwick Papers, you'll see some of those are up on the wall that he wrote here. I mean, they're reproductions. Thank you, Dennis Gray, for your great job on research on that. And Mayor James, before you come up, I have a suggestion. and that is you have many things still to accomplish in your term. We would love to invite you here to the East 9 Pickwick Plaza to have a room where you could write the legacy of Sly James in the Pickwick to continue that tradition. Please welcome the Mayor of Kansas City.
I don't know that I can write the Pickwick papers. I'm having hard enough time writing, short letters anymore. I don't want to get political, any more political than we've already been, but let me just say this. You need to get over this idea that somehow that the state is going to save us and that they're going to do the right thing. That's simply not going to happen. If you need any more proof, then hang around waiting for it to happen. It's not going to happen. This city needs to do what it's always done, and that is to take care of itself, because we can't count on anybody else to do it. One of the things that I've tried to do in response to what I consider to be a legislature that really doesn't know much or care much about real people, that's just me though, is to organize mayors from around the state, large towns, large cities, small towns, big cities, whatever the case, and to start working on those things that interest and are important to cities, because the legislature does not really like cities. There is a very good reason from their perspective why they didn't do those meetings on historic tax credits there, because they know that if they go into the rural areas and talk about the things that the big cities are using and doing, that they're going to automatically get a negative response, and they got exactly what they wanted. What you may not know is that they carved out a section of historic tax credits for their own use to rehabilitate the Capitol and the buildings there. So we just need to get beyond this idea that the federal government or the state government is going to ride in on some color horse, you guys say white, I say black, to save us, okay? Just ain't going to happen. We need to be about saving ourselves. I heard about this building before Reeves Wiedeman walked through it, because I had the honor of serving with Michael Duffy and Steve Hamilton and Jim White on the LCRA when this building was one of the discussions. I was serving on the LCRA at a time when downtown was not what it is today, when it was coming back, and when abatements and things of that nature were in high demand in order to renovate buildings. And we got to a point under Michael's leadership and Steve's leadership and my apprenticeship to figure out how we could start titrating some of those incentives so that people would not become overly dependent on them, and so that the market could to some extent correct itself. So if you have never had an opportunity to see Michael Duffy or Steve Hamilton, then, and if you care about the current state of Kansas City, then I think that what you ought to do is you ought to walk past Michael Duffy and Steve Hamilton, and you ought to shake their hands and thank them, because they were at the heart of this, they were at the soul of this, and they were doing it before it was really cool to do it. So I want to tell you, thank you for having me here. It's always great to come and see new things in this city. It's always great to see this city blossom and become the city that I believed it could come. That was exactly why I ran, was because I thought that for all the potential, all the beauty, all the great people, all the great places, all the great things we had to offer, for some reason we had this inferiority complex where we felt the need to compare ourselves to someplace else. But here's the good news. Places are now comparing themselves to us because we've done it. It's always nice to be around for ribbon cuttings and diggings and all things that indicate something new is happening, something new is online. There's yet another option to people, and this is, in fact, a very, very beautiful option. And I think, Michael, when I was on the LCRA, this was a pit. Would you agree? This was one of those buildings we said, oh, gee, what are we going to do with this, okay? But this is an historic place. This is a place where you already heard about Harry Truman and the Pickwick Papers. I might write my own Pickwick Papers, but I think I'm going to wait until the Urban Youth Baseball Academy opens up on 18th and Vine, and I'm going to start my ice cream business in the summer called Sly Scream for Ice Cream. so that I can then be a man of leisure, selling ice cream to poor suspecting kids and literally sucking up the profits. But I would be anything that's written, anything that I wrote, I would always be honored to have it displayed here or any place else, because Lord knows it's not that important. But I'm proud of the work that's been done here. I'm proud of the people who come together to do it. You know, Bob emphasized partners, partners, partners. I've never felt that there was anything other than partners. Big things don't get done by one person. I don't care who the one person is. Nobody pushes a rock up the hill by themselves unless they want to get run over by it. It's always better to work with people who have a common interest and have a desire to work collaboratively. That's why Kansas City is now the Kansas City that we love, because we learned to work together. This is a physical manifestation of a lot of people learning to work together. I have to tell you, just looking at it from this way that I've seen it so far, I'm impressed. Very nice dress there, by the way. You look great. Keep it up. I don't want to sound like Donald Trump or anything, but but I just looked up there and you look good. I love blue. Moving on. Once I move out of the mayoral mansion, which is otherwise known as the doghouse in my house, there really is no mayoral mansion. My wife and I will be looking around town to figure out where we're going to live, and this is certainly going to be a place on the list. I can tell you, though, that I did not write these notes for myself, because I never would have said that I look forward to having access to a saltwater pool for 24/7. I don't think you have nearly enough life preservers for me to look forward to a saltwater pool. I am, however, looking forward to being near the streetcar. I am, however, looking forward to being near a vibrant center of town where there are amenities close by, there are things to do, and where there's things to buy and people. I am looking forward to a place that's going to let me keep an Irish wolfhound. I'm just saying, you know, in case you ever want to know. But this is a prime location. The amenities are first rate, the people who put it together are high quality, and the interior of the building is gorgeous. So this would not have been possible without historic tax credits. However, let's not ever allow ourselves to say that we're going to let our buildings and our downtown sink into oblivion and disrepair and blight simply because the state doesn't have the foresight to understand that the preservation of buildings of this type and others is important to a city and to an economy of this state. If they won't help us, we'll find a way to help ourselves. So, you know, one of the things that happens when you get into your last 2 years of the term is, first of all, you start looking over your shoulder to see who's coming after you. But the other thing is that you really start to take stock of what's happening during the time that you were in office. And you start to recognize how many people contributed to it. That's the same thing as what's happening now with this building. You take stock of who's coming after you, and you recognize all the people who contributed to it. All of those folks who contributed to this building and what it is should take a bow, feel good, and get a pat on the back, because they've contributed to the economic and the vitality of this city. And I want to thank them. And I want to thank you, Bob, because I know you worked your tail off on it. And I want to thank Michael. I will always thank you for your service. And Steve, if you're here, for your service as well, because it was the groundwork that you guys laid, and even before I got the LCRA, and my little bit of time there along with Jim White and our great, great exec, laying that groundwork and showing people that you could renovate downtown buildings and make them profitable. If that had not been done by you and the LCRA and the EDC, then we wouldn't be standing here today. So there's a lot of people to thank. Thank them all, and thank yourselves.
Now we're at the man of the moment. And I got to tell you, about 8 years ago, Tom and Brian Smith came to my office, and beyond like what Reeves was saying, they said, Bob, we're going to do this project. I've got this vision, I got this passion. I said, well, hey, it's a great building. let's go for it. And so little did Tom and I know that we would go to a lot of bankers, a lot of places, but again, the mayor, the city manager, Bill Dietrich, the LCRA, many people opened arms. But it takes a person of vision to make a building like this happen. And I said, I've worked with a lot of developers, but Tom Smith is so personal interest that all the furniture that you are sitting in, and you're sitting in, Kevin, all this furniture, Tom personally made sure that it was the quality of what we're trying to create, which was a downtown project that was a blend of a hotel, a mixed retail, and where millennials and people my age could live together and be part of Kansas City and celebrate. So the man dressed in blue, Mr. Smith, if you'll come up here, his special blue tuxedo, has dreams, hopes, and reality for this project, and they are here today with all these people. So Tom Smith, president of Gold Crown Properties and the lead developer of East 9, it's your moment.
I'll say a couple things. First of all, to Bob, yeah, it was 8 or 9 years ago that we walked into his office and asked for some help with meeting city folks because we had no idea what we were doing. We were the little guys that had an idea but no plan to go about it, certainly not enough money to probably get across the street. But Bob helped us meet some folks and we started down the path. And a lot of times that's just it, just get started. And so we forged ahead. And so I'm going to read this to stay on point and stay on cue, and it'll make me a little less nervous. I was really calm until you said those things, Bob. I was really doing well. Anyway, so thank you very much, Mayor James, for those kind words. I remember about 1.5 years ago when you came to our groundbreak, and I said this to you at that time. I said, I pledge today to give you and our great city a building and development that you will be proud to show to visitors, and one which we will be proud to fill with some of Kansas City's finest people. You have our commitment to open these doors to an energetic and diverse group of residents that in the process will continue this amazing resurgence of downtown Kansas City. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. So we've tried really hard to make this place special. When we started building this project, we hoped at the end we would be able to describe our effort in just one word. I haven't seen Ryan Stockman. Is he here today? Ryan, what was that word? Spectacular. Once again, did we do our job? I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about our journey, especially because a lot of it's been talked about already. A lot of you pretty much know our story on this project, that we saw this grand old building for the first time almost 10 years ago. And that 10-year journey has been full of joy and heartaches and frustrations beyond description, but a sense of satisfaction has fortunately come at the end of this very long journey. But it was very hard. I think I can maybe best summarize the difficulties we faced by simply telling you that we've already been nominated for a national award. Well, but listen to this. Here is what John Bowman of Foss & Company, who brokered our federal tax credit investment by East West Bank, said about our nomination. He said, I'm writing to you today because Foss & Company would like to nominate the Pickwick Hotel and Union Bus Terminal project in the Overcame Significant Obstacles category of the Novogradic National Tax Credit Awards. We don't know if we've won that award yet, but he thinks we should. So that's our first one. Yeah, Bob says we have a good shot. It was tough, folks. It was really tough. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit because it was hot, or is hot, and this is getting long. So I want to talk about things like, I want to talk mostly about what this place was when we started. Because, Brandon Heck, how you doing, buddy? It was a disaster. Here's a picture I had brought out here of what this lobby looked like when we started. It was a mess. It was a complete mess. The ceiling in this space that you see now was completely destroyed. Matter of fact, a ceiling had been dropped between what you see up there and this level now. This space that you're sitting in was chopped up into tiny little retail spaces, and people had drilled holes into the floor to create walls for retail space. So the night that we were unveiling these terrazzo floors, as the floor people that had been here for 2 months with grinding machines brought in their polishing machines, I was sitting right up there watching about 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and we saw these floors come back to life. And I have to admit, I almost cried when I saw that. But this is the original terrazzo floors. They were covered up with carpet and glue and all kinds of flooring you can't even imagine. You couldn't even see it. So they did a spectacular job. I mentioned that the ceilings above you were completely gone. They had been completely destroyed. None of it was even there. So Plaster Crafts of Kansas City came here over a year ago and started the process of rebuilding all these incredible ceiling parts. Those cornices were all gone, and they took pictures from the old lobby photos we found and sent them off to have molds made into exactly the same design and detail, and remade every one of them out of new plaster. The entire building had been destroyed by water, vandals, and time. Some of it had been vacant for over 60 years. And on the north side, where we now have 45 beautiful apartments, the owner of the parking garage parked cars and construction equipment inside the building for many years. In a nutshell, the place was an indescribable mess. So please take a few minutes when we're finished here, very quickly, walk down this long hallway and see the amazing display that Dennis Gray put together that shows a lot of the before and during pictures. We tried just about everything to find a path to get us where we are today, especially on the financial path. We're a small company by comparison to others who take on such endeavors. We certainly could not handle a $65 million development on our own, and of course that's been mentioned clearly, and that's very true. We did talk to just about every bank in this city who would take a meeting with us. One local bank, whose name I won't mention, but they're right across the street over there, would not even loan us $250,000 for a small part of our startup expenses. But in the end, with some help with some friends from Denver and Dallas, Todd McNeil and Charlie Babb, who are here today of Metropolitan Capital Advisors, we ended up stacking up 4 different lenders who together loaned us almost $60 million to bring this project to where it is today. In addition to those 4 lenders, we have 2 tax credit investors, which we've talked about. We have the federal tax credit investor, which is East West Bank from San Francisco, and Commerce Bank, based right here in Missouri, who together brought us a total of $24 million to the table. And also, as previously mentioned, and I'm sorry I'm about to lose my voice, this project is definitely a testimony to the incredible positive results derived from the historic tax credit programs that are available to projects like Pickwick, who are registered as historic buildings by the Parks and Services Administration of our federal government. Missouri is the #1 state in the country for the amount of state tax credits that are awarded annually. This project is one of the largest historic tax credit developments ever constructed in Missouri or even the United States. Without the historic tax credits made available to us and developers of other old historic buildings like Pickwick, we would not be here today, and this building would still be empty and getting worse by the day, or it would be gone, replaced by who knows what, probably nothing. So that's a quick step back and through, and as Bob has clearly mentioned, and others as well, it takes a huge team of professionals to pull something like this off. Of course, there has to be a conductor or a director, if you will, and that has been our job as developer. But we have had the help of accountable industry professionals and experts, and I have to take just a couple of minutes to acknowledge and thank as many as I can. And since most of them have been mentioned, I will shorten this up. Besides the developer, there's 2 major components of building something like this. There's the architects and there's the general contractor. And Reeves Wiedeman has already talked in Reeves, and he's mentioned his team, his leaders, Christine Sutherland and Cale Sadowski. We started having meetings in their conference rooms 9 years ago. I'm not sure if I paid any rent on this. No, I know I didn't, because if I did, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today. It would have been too expensive. We had dozens and dozens of meetings there. We were so small back in our offices, we didn't even have a conference room. So we imposed on Reeves and his fine people to put up with us over there. So thank you very much, Reeves and Helix, and all that you've meant to this project, which is everything. Heron Laughlin Construction. I know Wells Heron is here and Jeff Wassinger, who lead that team. I'm just going to briefly mention some names again for time, but the guys that were here at the project every day, you know, we developed an amazing relationship with those guys. My son Brian worked with them mostly. Reuben Hammond, who was the overall project supervisor. I didn't see Birdie here today. Wayne Birdie Birdseeker, fondly referred to as Birdie. Sometimes he was not a sweet birdie. I never saw him that way. I heard stories. Harry Goodwin, Darren Smith, Ryan Stockman, Scott Needholt, and Kerry Gibb. They were there in that construction trailer every day throughout this process. And I love all you guys. We've had some anxious moments here at the end trying to get ready for this. It's been difficult, and they've just given us everything they've got. Thanks to all of you. Dennis Gray, third rail. Where's Dennis? Hopefully standing tall. Dennis Gray, there he is. Stand up, Dennis. This guy has got his prints on everything that you see just about. I mean, Dennis has helped us for a long time with a lot of things, but on this project, he's been there for years. From the time we started thinking about a design concept, what to name it, the logo, the marketing programs. Turn that open for me, but it's open. Okay. All right, thank you. Whoa.
Water.
It's hot in here.
I'll try not to look like Marco Rubio.
All right. So Dennis, buddy, thank you so very much. Incredible work that he does. You've walked around and seen some pretty incredible things here. We've been blessed to have some local artists do some amazing things. Joe Munson is here with his wife, I know. Look up and see these amazing chandeliers and sconces and the blade sign out on the corner and the amazing retail signs, which are all unique. Joe Munson designed and built every one of these by scratch in his own production shop. We had some sessions, Joe and I. There was a lot of collaborating. A lot of it I didn't like in the beginning. And so we had some meetings sitting at my bar in my house late at night a few times, talking about colors on the ceiling and design and all those kinds of things. But boy, he sure pulled it off. Chad Skelton is here. Look at that amazing piece back there on the wall in the entryway. Chad Skelton designed and built that piece as well. He's a friend of my son Brian's, and I have a piece of his work in my office. Thank you, Chad. There's a gentleman named Phil Schaefer that I haven't met that did the amazing graphics over here for City Gym, but they're in our hallway, and they're just incredible, and they just finished those a few days ago. So if you haven't seen that, walk back that way towards the garage before you leave, if it's not too hot and too late. Elizabeth Rosen and Kristen Otteson, they're here. I haven't seen them, but they're sure here, and their staff is here, I know. They direct us with the historic tax credit elements of building a building like this, and you can't do it with somebody that doesn't have the expertise that they have. You have to do it right. The historical people are very exacting about what we have to do with ceiling design, and particularly the outside of the building, but lots of things. Thank you very much to Elizabeth and her team. Bob? Bob, thank you. You've mentioned the city council folks and the folks that helped us there, Catherine Shields and Scott Wagner and Jolie Justice and many others that helped us with some street projects. You also talked about the LCRA board, who did in fact give us a 10-year tax abatement on this project, which is a piece of our capital stack, if you will. And then we have our lenders, those guys that before you get the construction started like to put together these long, complicated documents with their stacks of legal teams. And I got to tell you, that was the part that was really hard, right before we finally closed all these loans into one big construction loan. Brian likes to tell me that at the end we were having weekly conference calls, and he counted up the last month on each call we had about 23 lawyers on each of these calls. And I love all you guys, but my goodness. Our legal fees on this project cost almost as much as the building did to build it in 1930. If that tells you anything. Quickly, those lenders, Metropolitan Capital Bank in Chicago, $2.65 million of an acquisition loan. Octagon Partners in Virginia loaned us $19.5 million against federal and state tax credits. Fast Preferred Equity out of Denver, $3.65 million. Fred and Casey Fanginello and Rich Seidel, and they're here today. They came in at the last minute. We ended up a little bit short. Our estimates to build this went over a little bit, and they came in and saved the day for us. And then last but not least, our friends and compadres out of Boston, Massachusetts, Mr. Jeffrey Weingart standing right there. I don't know where your other people are. I have to give him a big hug from here because we did not start out well. Our very first phone call, I hung up the phone on him. So it was a long story about how we circled back, but we got together, and Jeffrey came up and told me that this is the best project they've ever done. And I will say this, there are certain people or institutions involved in something like this that you have to think back and you say, without them, this would not have happened. And I'm not sure that this would have happened without UC funds, because we literally did go to lenders all over the United States. And we didn't have the financial clout to go with most lenders, but they took a chance on us. And so we're forever in gratitude to you, Jeffrey, for stepping up for us. All right. We've already talked about our tax credit. All right, let's wrap this up. I've got some other very special people I'm just going to say and talk about very quickly. We do have one investor in our deal who provided part of our equity capital, and they're sitting right behind my beautiful fiance, Miss Mary, back there, and my daughter, Bill and Brent Beasley, who introduced to us by Ken Canfield there. Gentlemen, thank you so much. You were with us on Heights at Delaware Ridge, and we kind of dragged them along on Pickwick, but we needed a little financial help on the front, as we've talked about, and Bill and Brent were here for us, and I think they're glad that they are. We'll see when the dust settles on the last part of this journey, but thank you, guys. All right. Last but not least is my Gold Crown team. We're a tiny little team. One big part of it that's not here today is my longtime friend and business partner, Steve Mullins in Chicago. He had some conflicts, including fighting off some cancer that's bugging him right now. My heart is with him today. I know he would like to be here. We're going to send him a video. Steve, we love you and wish you were here. Troy Mason, who's done all of our technical work with TVs and wiring, and there's wires running all through this building to get our phone systems and everything set up. Troy has been doing that for a long time for us. Lori Delge back in the office kind of keeps track of things because we've all been gone so much down on this project lately. William Hayes, who is handling all of our retail work. William, He also helped us tremendously with some interaction with some of our street problems and interfacing with a lot of the city officials. William, you've done a great job on that. I want to give it Amber Hobbs and Danielle Reynolds and Renee Corman, who are our leasing and management staff back here. They are doing an incredible job. We just got the last 215 units on this building on May 1st. And as Bob pointed out, we're almost 70% leased already. So get the word out, get your friends in here. We're going to be raising rent soon. Tara Ruark, who came to us just, a year and a half ago. She has done everything here, from running around in the middle of the night, sending emails at 1:30 in the morning, taking care of business. Tara, thank you. All right, Tish and Brian, come up here, please. Where's Tish? Folks, this is Gold Crown Properties, you know. And, you know, what do you say when your son is your business partner? It's got its pluses and it's got some minuses. You know, sometimes it's really hard, but we sent some notes to each other this morning. It's been tough. We're going to do some more. I walked in this morning. I left here, at 7 o'clock last night. The place looked spectacular. But I came in this morning, I almost cried. I mean, my goodness, with the flowers and all that they had done through the whole night to make this place beautiful today, beyond description with some of these things. And it's this woman does everything for us. She pays the bills. She has... You're a love, lady. And then, last but not least, Miss Mary. Come on up here. I told the quick story about this woman back at the groundbreaking. What do I say? We met about the time we first saw this building. And I think a lot of people didn't give us much of a chance.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I knew who that was. We actually were going to get married at this ceremony, and we're still going to do it. We decided it was just too much to try to pull that off and do this at the same time. Anyway, but I love her tremendously, and we're going to... She saved our financial lives almost 7 years ago and loaned us some money. When we were out, we were stuck in Heights at Delaware Ridge and trying to find a way to get to Pickwick, and she loaned us a lot of money. It was a lot of money to us, and I know it was a huge amount to her, and she took a huge risk, and I swear to you, it's going to pay off really well. Yeah. So... And she's also a part owner in this building, and a bigger part than she likes to admit. Anyway, I love you. It's been a journey. Yeah. So that's all I've got. There's so much that could be said, unless anybody else.
Actually, Brian's got something to say.
Oh.
You can come back here.
Okay, I had a speech, but I know it was hot, ready to break, so I'm going to make this quick. Tish and I have prepared a little gift for Tom, and I hope it's going to stay in the building for a long, long time. So with that, go ahead and bring it out. Well, you can't just. Bring it off. This is a bronze plaque that reads, Historic Pickwick Hotel and Bus Terminal. This building is dedicated in honor of Thomas Chapin Smith. Through his years of vision, perseverance, and dedication, the Union Bus Terminal and the historic Pickwick Hotel has been brought back to life and become a cornerstone to the revitalization of downtown Kansas City, Missouri. Well done, sir.
What do you say to that, Tom? All right, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a great love fest. Look, we got plenty of liquor and food, and we're still going to party. So even though this was supposed to end at 6, we're going to keep going. There's plenty of bar stations. Please go tour the building, tour the city gym that is opening, tour the saltwater pool, and enjoy yourselves. Thank you for putting up with us. Have a great time.